Hi, I'm Spaceman Steve. This video shows how to use my app to read ancient Mayan text. Thanks to Dr. Alex Tokovinin for allowing me to reuse glyphs and other material from his catalog of ancient Maya hieroglyphs. This paragraph of ancient Mayan text records the coronation of a king. There are lots of blocks, and each individual block is either a word or a short phrase. It looks complicated at first, but like most things, if we break it down, it becomes clear. Let's start with one glyph block and see how they work. So on the left side of the screen is a single Mayan word written in symbols that represent sounds. Simple blocks like these have a single main glyph and several peripheral or affix glyphs. This particular block we're looking at holds three different glyphs. There is a large main glyph and two smaller affix glyphs. So the main glyph is here. We have a affix glyph on the left and an affix glyph here on the bottom. So that's a total of three different glyphs. Now the order that you read these individual glyphs is important. And Mayan glyph blocks are read from left to right and from top to bottom. So for this glyph block, we first read the left affix glyph, then the main glyph, and finally the bottom affix glyph. And to decode this glyph block, we'll have to look up each individual glyph and see what sound it makes. On the right side of the screen is my ancient Maya app running in a simulated iPhone. We'll use it to look up each glyph. To decode a glyph block, we first click on Decode Text. And we see that the glyphs are divided into various classifications. Remember that the first glyph we need to decode is the one on the left, and remember that it is an affix glyph. So we select affix. And we get a list of dozens of affix glyphs. Also remember that the affix glyphs can be on any side of the main glyph. They can be on top of it, or left, right, bottom. And we're looking for a left affix glyph. So we'll click the left button. And now we get a list of all the left-oriented affix glyphs. Our job is to scroll down the list until we see the glyph that we're looking for. And here's one that looks good. So I click on it, and I get a bigger image of it, and I see that it makes the sound O. So this symbol is one way that the Mayans would write the sound O. Since this glyph is the one I'm looking for, I'll click Yes, save to the clipboard. Now we're back at the Decode Text home screen. And at the top of the screen, our clipboard has appeared. It holds what we've identified so far, the first glyph and the glyph's meaning. Now we're done with the first glyph, and we move on to the second glyph. Remember, the second glyph to read is this main glyph. Now, if this glyph looked like a bird, I'd click on bird and identify the glyph in this list. Or if, say, that glyph looked like a human hand, I'll click on hand and again, find the match. But this glyph doesn't look like any of these options. So it must be either under the Others or Compound Signs menus. Now, since this main glyph is big and has a lot going on, I'm going to guess that it's under Compound Signs. So I click, and here are all the compound sign glyphs. And can you see which one we're trying to find? And it is right here. So I'll click on it and see that this is how one way the Mayans wrote the sound TO. And so I'll add this to the clipboard. And now our clipboard has two items, O and 2, and we only have one glyph left to identify. That remaining glyph is the bottom affix glyph. And so we click again on affix, and then on bottom to get a list. And we look for the match. And we just scroll down There are dozens. And we look for one that matches. And this one catches my eye, so I'll click on it. And when I look at the bigger view, I decide this isn't really the perfect match. And so now I can click on no, don't add it to the clipboard. And we stay on this affix page and continue to search for a better match. And now I'll decide I like this one. And this is a good match. And so I'll say yes, add to the clipboard. And now I'm back at the main screen. And we've identified all three glyphs, and we've identified them in the right order. And since each glyph represents a sound or a phoneme, this clipboard displays how to pronounce the word in ancient Mayan. This Mayan glyph block that we've decoded is pronounced otot in ancient Mayan. To find out what this means in English, we need a Mayan English dictionary. So, just reach for your handy copy of Montgomery's terrific dictionary, and you can see what otot means. And there it is, house. But what if, let's say, you can't remember exactly where you left your copy of your favorite Mayan English dictionary? Fear not. Mesaweb.com has a lot of Mayan resources. And one of those resources is a English Mayan dictionary, where once you decode a word, like otot, you can look it up. Home or dwelling. If you were paying careful attention, you might have wondered why the ancient Maya word for home isn't ototi. Doesn't it end in an I? To keep things very simple for now, let's just say that final vowels in Mayan are often silent, and they won't be in the dictionary. As you learn more about Mayan writing, you'll quickly see why that is true. And we're done. We've looked up all the glyphs in a glyph block in the correct order and obtained a Mayan word. Then we looked up that word in a dictionary and translated it into English. We actually just read a Mayan word. When we're ready to move on to the next word, we just hit the clear button and begin again. And that's how you use the Ancient Maya app to decode glyph blocks. It has over 600 glyphs from Dr. Tokovinen's catalog, as well as his classification scheme and ordering of glyphs. Now this video made it look pretty simple to translate a glyph block. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Some glyphs are logograms, where they represent an entire word, and they're read a little differently. Maybe the app doesn't have the glyph you're looking for, or maybe you don't have the experience to break down a glyph block into individual glyphs at first, and that can be a little troublesome. And in fact, some glyphs haven't even been translated yet, but the vast majority have. But the fact is, right now, you can decode some glyph blocks. You can read some ancient Mayan, and that is pretty great. Thanks for listening. I am Spaceman Steve. Let's all go boldly.